Welcome to this episode of the Spin Axis Podcast. I'm Erik Barzeski.
And I'm Tyson Deskins.
Jason is taking the night off, so we've replaced him with Mike Granato of Athletic Motion Golf. Hi, Mike.
How you doing, fellas?
Good, buddy.
Thanks for letting me fill in. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man. This is awesome.
So let's just kick it off. We got some questions for you. I have a gear system. You have a gear system. It measures so many things, hundreds of things, and people can get lost in all the numbers that they see on the screen. And sometimes I like to turn on a bunch of stuff because people like to see all the data. But how do you determine when someone comes in for a lesson, you haven't worked with them yet?
Right.
There's a bunch of stuff you could look at. How do you determine where to start with a given player?
We always start, and this kind of evolved when we were back working with Scott Hamilton every day. Evolved where we always put on the spine line, chest rotation, hip rotation, pelvis sway, chest sway. Those are our basic starting parameters for everyone. And from there, and we always have video rolling as well and force plates. So from there, we're going to get a really good idea of how the player moves. Now, I've never really seen a player knock those out of the ballpark and have major issues somewhere else. So those are kind of the biggest breadcrumbs that we'll see before we really start to diving into, helping the player fix what they came in for.
Pelvis sway and thrust, or no?
Yeah, pelvis sway and thrust, torso sway and thrust, or rib cage sway and thrust, chest rotation, torso rotation, and then the spine line.
Okay, and how often is that all you need to start with?
It really depends on the skill of the player. People come to see us because they want to get on gears. So if a golfer comes in and he's 2.5 feet over the top, those numbers are going to put a label on it, but it's not, we can see that with our eyes and we can get started and look for why his specific reason why he's doing that. Almost always we're going to see an issue with one of those, with what he tells us in the interview that he's looking to correct.
What would you say is from a sway perspective, right? Pelvis, what is the most common piece that you see for that first time student on your system?
I would say they fall into two buckets. The golfers who tell us that they're trying to make a centered pivot, almost always, like a high degree, will move the pelvis forward towards the target in the backswing because that feels centered to them. And players who've never thought about it may shift off. We did a golf school finish yesterday. We had 2 guys in the golf school that were shifting off the ball 4 inches.
Yeah.
So, you cover the gamut when you look at that. Rarely, it happens, but rarely will you see a player who's kind of right in that proper range of 1 to 1.5 inches with like a 7-iron.
And how big are the windows that you guys like to see for something like pelvis sway?
Typically, you're going
with a mid-iron.
Yeah, typically you'll see it right around that 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Some players have moved it a little more, a little less, and not had issues because of how they moved everything else. But when you displace the pelvis, for most golfers, you're going to see some spine issues start to creep in, and then you're going to see some rotation and plane issues because of it.
Yeah, I like to tell people that the pelvis is in the middle of your body, so if it's moving improperly, it's affecting everything. Your feet aren't moving around too much because they're on the ground. Everything else is moving around if the pelvis is moving improperly. And I imagine even if you see a good sway number, the timing of that is important because a lot of people will know they want to go to the right a little bit for a righty, but it happens way too late. And those numbers, they often have to happen a lot sooner than a lot of people think.
Yeah, and going back to your first question was, or your second question was, kind of where do most golfers fall? I would say a huge majority of golfers, whether they shift forward a little bit or away a little bit, as the club's entering the top, a lot of them will shift to the right. So even golfers that shift early towards the target will still manage to shift off the ball to kind of load that trail side. So you've got the arms swinging up and the club swinging towards the target, and they're shifting into their arms, and it's a nightmare from there.
I commented on your recent YouTube video about how golfers have a backswing and a downswing, like everything is going to the right.
Yep.
And then they reach the top, and then everything tries to go to the left. And that's not how it has to happen. You need your body starting to go forward while the club is still going back, just like as if you were to lob a ball. You're stepping forward while your arm is still going back. I don't like to use the word natural because I've seen people throw a ball horribly awkwardly. But if you can throw a ball decently, the timing of that is similar to what you find in a golf swing. There have been people that have people throw clubs down the down the practice range just to get the timing of that kind of thing done, because you could say that swinging a golf club is like throwing a golf club, just not letting go.
I've got some stories about the throwing the stuff, but yeah, it's most golfers have thrown something more than they've swung the golf club, and they don't ever think about shifting. And inside we'll have them just pick up a ball from like a 7-iron, and I'll say, sling one, throw a ball with some speed to second base from a starting golf posture, and they'll do the timing and the movements just so instinctively for them. Like you said, provided they have ability to throw. And then you show them the video back where you show them the gears data, and then you can see the light bulb come on over their head and go, oh,
yep,
that's what it's like. Because you're right. It's make a backswing and then make a downswing. And you do that with no other sport.
And would you say that is why that you'll see that late pelvis move to the right as the hands are at the top? Is that why? Because they're trying to finish their backswing? Like, why would you think? Because I see it all the time myself. Why do you think that is just so common for players, that last minute shove of the pelvis?
Our kind of summary on that is when the golfer shifts forward to start their swing, again, they're trying to stay centered. No one ever tells us really they're trying to move weight forward. So they always tell us they're trying to stay centered. And when you look at the force data, it's like the most static backswing that you can make. And we just know instinctively that we got to make some movement to create some speed in the downswing. So I think they've already gone forward, and that feels gross. So now they're going to have to throw some movement back to try to generate some speed.
Right. When people have trouble hitting something or doing something athletic, oftentimes what people try to do is turn off things. They try to turn off. I'm going to not do this. I'm not going to use my wrists. I'm not going to do this with my elbow. I'm not going to do this. They think like, oh, I need to not sway because that will let me hit the ball solidly all the time. But we don't do anything short of like maybe playing darts, which is arguably not a sport. My definition of a sport is whether speed is an advantage, then it's highly likely to be a sport.
That's a great definition.
I don't know that throwing darts hard or fast is an advantage. They're not moving a whole lot. They're basically almost trying to keep their elbow on a shelf, from what I understand, and just literally moving their elbow that way. Every other sport that we play, there's movement and there's pressure shifting and all kinds of stuff. And limiting those kinds of things shuts off, kind of the name of your company, Athletic Motion Golf. It shuts off the athletic motion that's required to play golf at the higher level. Sure, you can hit a putt without moving a whole lot of things, but the ball is rolling 20 feet.
Right.
Okay, we're not hitting it 210 yards over a pond.
Well, and to your point of like shutting stuff off, when I get people on the force plates, they don't first off have very much in their setup, very much lateral force out, like 2% of their body weight is very common. Mm-hmm. As soon as the club starts to move, their trail foot goes to zero. Like it's all completely off. And then it tries to turn on up there at the top.
Yeah, that's definitely a big pet peeve of ours. You're on social media and you guys get the comments too. Why do I want to lift my arm if I've got to lower it? Why don't I just keep my arm down? Or why do I, whatever? And it's like, you have to, if your goal is to jump and get a rebound, good luck just trying to move in that direction.
Hey, you look like Phil Mickelson when he won the Masters.
Exactly. You've got to go in the opposite direction.
Love that. Most
of the time when you're doing something athletic to get, even sprinters, and I wasn't a sprinter by no means, but even sprinters they're kind of, that's why they have those blocks there, because they really push in off that back foot to propel forward.
Are you looking to enhance your golf swing with precision and consistency? The HackMotion Golf Swing Analyzer is your personal coach, offering real-time feedback on wrist positions throughout your swing. By pinpointing common faults like casting and flipping, HackMotion provides tailored drills to help you perfect your technique. Its user-friendly app, paired with the cutting-edge, lightweight sensor, delivers instant data, allowing you to make adjustments on the spot. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned golfer, HackMotion is designed to elevate your game. Experience the difference and take control of your swing today. SpinAxis listeners can save 5% with the coupon code SPINAXIS at checkout. Visit HackMotion at hackmotion.com. So in comparing, because you guys will do pros versus AMs in a video series, and in lessons you'll say, here's some guy on tour that's won a bunch or something, or you have a model, kind of. I don't mean you're saying everyone has to swing like that. I'm just saying you're saying, right, this player does this particular thing that you need to do way more than you do it. when you're comparing tour players to average players, a lot of players would say, and you see this argument online a lot, oh, I can't swing like a tour player. I'm not built like a tour player. I'm not as skilled as they are. But in one of the videos you did, or a few of them, you've pointed out that amateur swings are often more complicated and require more movement in the same amount of time as professional swings.
Yeah. And I'm old enough to have had those lessons when I was younger, where when video was the new technology, right? When if a coach had video, he was cutting edge, and he would put, usually a weird camera angle of whatever famous tour player at the time, and you beside it and say, you're not moving like him. So I get where all that comes from. But we've also done a ton of lessons where, let's say, Jason, you came in at 2:00 for a lesson, and at 3:00 we had a tour player just happened to be in town and was going to work with us. So obviously those guys are showing up early, stretching and whatnot. So they're watching the end of the AM lesson. And invariably when the AM leaves, they go, there's no way in the world I could hit a ball if I was moving like that. Like, it just looks so complicated. To them, it looks like a Rubik's Cube of what we're trying to do. And for the AM, it looks like an unsolvable, magical move that they're doing. But when you look at the 3D data, and this is why I think it's so valuable to measure golf swings, they're moving so efficiently that it's physically easier to do. Now, the hard part golfers have is when they move. We always say the hardest thing to convince a golfer to do is to do less, because they never think they're doing the move, right? They always think they don't have enough movement in there. And oftentimes it's just do less or do a little less at a little different time. And that's always difficult we only know the timing of when we do something. Changing that timing, there's a lot of good juice that comes out of that squeeze.
Yeah, and I can't tell you, I heard it a couple times a day. You'll hear these guys, the amateurs, say, man, I just want it to be effortless. Those guys are just effortless, right? And like, Erik and I have talked about that word effortless. Like, those guys are trying. It's more simple.
Yeah.
Right? More efficient. So that amateur who is like an octopus falling out of a tree with tentacles going everywhere will associate it as, oh, it's easy, it's effortless.
Right.
Yeah, when things look effortless, and we've all made swings that feel effortless in quotes. Fred Couples was on Playing Lessons with the Pros. He has a good tempo and rhythm because everything kind of gathers at the top and looks flowy and everything, but
effortless.
He said, he was asked, what do you do from the top? He goes, I'm swinging as hard as I can. I'm pouring it on. There's no let up. I am using every muscle I have to move the club as fast as I can. There's a lot of effort that's going on. You can't swing a golf club 100 plus miles per hour without using effort. So effort's like a pet peeve. Effortless, is a pet peeve of mine, but I get what people mean. But at the same time, I also sometimes hate YouTube videos where people are like, oh, just do this and it's effortless. No, it's not effortless. We all teach people that we have to teach them to use their arms in the downswing because gravity isn't going to do it. Okay, you need to lower your arms very actively and widen the trail elbow or whatever you need to do for your particular thing and expend a decent amount of effort to do it. What you don't need to do, though, is pull your trail elbow way behind your shirt seam, pull your lead arm way across your chest, because then you're doing 2 or 3 times the amount of work that a tour player is expected of himself. And that's where you get into trouble.
That's a great point. It's effortless when you write your signature, right? You don't think about it, you just do it. Now, if I tried to write your signature, it would take effort and it wouldn't look as good as you writing your signature, right? So you just extrapolate that out to something physical. And one of our biggest light bulbs for the 3D data was how much the arms don't move across the body. They stay pretty much in front. They move 6-8 inches, something like that, 10 inches sometimes, in front of the body. And we've got AMs that are trying to move their arms 20 inches or so behind them. That's twice the effort it takes to accomplish what they want to accomplish at impact compared to a tour player. That's what we mean when we say real good golf swings are usually physically easier to do. And this is a question for you, actually. What is it about the video camera? I know it has to be something to do with frame rates that makes a well-timed swing looks super smooth. Because you've stood next to these guys on the range. Ernie Els is destroying the golf ball when you stand 5 feet from him.
Right.
But if you pull your phone out and film it, it looks like molasses.
I think it's a combination of balance and just the sequencing of things. When everything fires at the right time, it looks easier because I call it kind of waving around. Like when the sweet spot's kind of waving around, the shaft's going steep, shallow. It's it's pitching all over the place. You're spending a lot of what I call kind of like off plane, in quotes, energy to kind of wrestle that sweet spot and to get it to kind of track down where it's going to hit the golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on plane, in quotes, because again, I don't love these terms, but we all know what we mean. The energy is directed in the same direction or in the right direction. It's not wrestling it back. Oh, it's too steep. Oh, it's too under. Oh, it's not waving the sweet spot around. So I think that's a big part of why stuff looks good. Jim Furyk's swing does not look effortless.
No.
Because again, the sweet spot's kind of moving all over the place. It works for him, and it probably feels relatively easy for him, but it doesn't look effortless. It doesn't look like a Fred Couple swing. Fred Couple swing, I don't love Fred Couple swing. I think there are some things that he did that maybe led to some back issues or something like that. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily right about that, but I don't love his swing, and I have a post on my site about why I don't, for example, but it looks effortless or easy because it's smooth. The timing is good. The sequencing of when he does the things he does is there. He's, like he said in his own words, he's going at it as hard as he can.
There's no question. And with a lot of arms.
Yep. Love that.
Right. And it's all measurable now, which is cool.
Which kind of leads me into this question. Like golfers, we can't take gears, force plates, and even sometimes, launch monitors with us out to the range. You guys have said, if you're not using feedback, you're just exercising. Aside from ball flight, how should golfers go from being measured out to practice on their own without all of that tech?
You guys don't give your players gears to leave with? We do.
Yeah, here's you paid $500. Here you go. You get to take this with you.
I love it.
No, it's a great question. We'll get it when golfers book lessons. Like, okay, I know I'm getting on gears. That's why it's so important for us to always have the video camera recording swings. We got 10 gears cameras. For us, it's 4 eyeballs and then 3 video cameras rolling at all times, because the player has to know what the data is translating to from a face on and down the line. They just have to, or they're not going to be able to replicate it when they leave. So that's kind of the bare minimum. We make sure they know what they're looking at. In fact, we'll do gears if it's an hour lesson, heavy gears right off the bat, and then it just tapers off into the video. We'll have them pull their phone out. We'll put videos on their phone so they can really start to get in that mindset. The apps that are coming out now, like the Swing Coach app, where it's giving you immediate feedback. I think a lot of hurdle for golfers using their phone is, all right, I'm going to get it all set up, go through the effort to set it up correctly. Then I'm going to go back and look at it. And what did I just do there on that swing? And, and there's a little buffer there that I think this technology keeps progressing will completely, you just put headphones in and you're going to get the feedback. But yeah, it's super important taking the 3D data and equating it. And I think for us coaches who use gears, I mean, Scott was the first person I said that, or I heard say this, is that he sees the golf swing now so much better.
Absolutely.
Because he always has the 2 working simultaneously. And I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I don't have gears, but I have recently had Sportsbox Studio that's running all the time with the force plates, with my TrackMan data in the video that I'm rolling. And it absolutely does help you see the golf swing differently and get to root cause issues way faster.
And it's such a cool time to be teaching the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think to wrap it up, I think one of the things I love to do on gears is say someone is bending their right arm 120 degrees.
Right.
Okay. And I'm like, okay, show me a swing where you bend your right arm 60 degrees.
Right.
Sergio Garcia bends his 55, Rory 65. They'll make a swing. They'll be like, I did it. Pull it up. It says 111.
Right. And it feels active, right?
And the swing that they have to make to do anything even in the 70s feels so ridiculous to them. You record it on video, you show them the gears numbers, and they're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And so if they can have that holy crap moment and then kind of embrace that and live with that and see that all the time, then they have a chance.
Yeah. I think that's the hubris, and I'm definitely putting myself in this category of us golfers, is that we can have a 128 bent right arm and you say we need to get it at 90, that we think we can make it go 90. Like we have that understanding. if we did, we wouldn't be at 128.
Right.
That 128 is probably going to have to feel like zero to even get close to that. Like you said, to make a 5-degree change.
Yeah.
If you have a golfer make a 5-degree change in 1 or 2 swings,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, you're like, this guy's a gifted athlete. Most humans, the swing's so fast, most humans just aren't aware of all the moving parts going on. They just see ball, hit ball. That's why it's difficult making a change in this sport.
No doubt. No doubt.
Mike, where can people find you online?
athleticmotiongolf.com is our website. We're Athletic Motion Golf on YouTube, Instagram. I think it's actually athletic_motion_golf on Instagram. We're probably everywhere.
Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. This was awesome. I could sit here and do this for like the next 3 hours. I know you've been editing videos for like 50 hours. So again, thank you so much for doing it. It's really a lot of fun, you know, and to all the listeners out there, go check out Athletic Motion Golf. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Take care.